been in practice a certain amount of time, at some point, you know that it's, you know, you see a patient and you may have ideas and they may be influenced by whatever it is, but at some point there's something that comes from you, and that, you know, it's kind of like the, what's his name, Gladwell, Malcolm, whatever? You'll see this a lot, I switch things around. You know, this 10,000 hour business, or 10-year, you know, sort of thing. There is something that happens, you know, a beginner is basically anyone who's, so don't take offense. Anyone who's been doing this for less than 10 years is a beginner. That's just standard in any kind of profession. Okay? And, you know, there is sort of a breakthrough that happens to people after a certain amount of time, and something else comes in. So what I'll do is there'll be a lot of protocols. I suggest don't write too many of them down, primarily because we are videoing, okay, so it will be available to you. This class currently, my agreement with Kiiko is not to put it out in public, because she's selling her own videos, so it's complicated. If I put them for free, it's not fair. So, but you will be able to, you will be able to get on YouTube. You have to, once I will let you know that it's available, and what we'll do is I'll put your email available on YouTube, so it will not be in the public domain, but you will be able to access them. Okay. So they say, oh, must write down or else, no, I'll never have it. It's all over the place. Okay, so my suggestion is, you know, write down what you want, but don't get too concentrated on it. So if you can put both feet on the floor and close your eyes, like almost like your name. Jing. Jing. Light and solid or sturdy strength, okay? Both of these have the character for meridian, not meridian, for river, okay? This part is a river. Oh, I'm sorry. Oops, no wonder I can't read it. Like this.
It's a car, right?
Yeah.
A car.
Do I leave this in here or not?
You need a horizontal in the box.
Oh, in the box, not in the
Yeah,
box.
and then
See,
it has
see
to
how
go out.
I'm useless.
And yeah, it goes all goes through. It goes above the top line. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. It goes through the lines. Yeah.
Okay. It goes through the lines. Okay. Qing is a car that makes itself go through the river easily. Okay. Therefore, light. It's easy. Qing is a river with strength. Okay. These are two qualities that we want to be able to have. Okay, so these are important qualities. Also, you see this, but if people saw the notes from last time, in Lingshu 33 it talks about in the ocean of marrow, if there is enough marrow, you will have Jing Jing. Okay, so excuse me for the 3 Chinese speakers that here. Maybe there's more, I don't know, but you know my handwriting is awful, and I can't, as you can tell. Okay. Next, another, just general concept. So we're looking for the quality of lightness, okay? And we're looking for a quality of strength at the same time to give people. Okay, so those are two qualities. Okay, now I'm definitely going to mess this up. Not quite, but never mind. This part, fu, right? Like fu organs. There's a space under which a person hands things over. So there's an exchange. Okay, so fu is something that has always to do with exchange. Versus, okay, now this is going to be a drag. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah. Administer is which way?
It's almost really hard to write.
Yeah, okay, we'll pretend.
Yeah, that's right.
It is right.
Yeah. Eunuch. right? Minister, yeah.
And next
Official.
one is, hold on, it's,
Yeah.
this part is opposing, something opposing. Is it like this or?
Yes. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So this is in the body. This part means just in the body. So this zang, my English isn't much better, by the way. You say you have different translations for zang. So some people, you see, the Worsley people translate zang like official, the minister. This is this part of the character. Okay, but often you say solid organs, right? Okay, so it's hollow versus solid. Not exactly correct. But what's interesting, okay, so under the grass, the official who killed someone, that's literally what it says, right? Official, a minister, and this is to kill. Okay, this is a knife. They have like a big, knife. The official kills someone, so when does an official kill someone? In a war, sort of thing, or you execute. Okay, so it's the spoils of war. Okay, and why is it under the grass? Because they're hoarding it. Okay, and that's in the body. So it's the organ that hoards stuff. And what does it mean that it hoards stuff? It means that whatever it is, it's not yours. It's like, you can say officially, yes, I won the war, therefore it's mine. But no matter what, whatever the Zang are producing or hoarding, just to understand, remember, in light of the food, it really isn't yours, it's just being exchanged. So, in other words, I'm just looking at, let's look at what is, having water on the floor is not a good idea. It's not, in life is about exchanging stuff, and whatever it is that you're trying to hoard, you want to be able to release, even though you still need to, you need substances. There's no way out of it. It's like you're not going to be alive. And we had this discussion last time when Edie's not here, so the breatharian discussion, sort of thing. No. Hey, if I could, I would. I like my chocolate too much. But over age, we hoard more. Most people in age, very few people get thinner. Most people get heavier, and they're not this, and they're not this. You can say, okay, there's more strength because they're hoarding more. They're not getting stronger, and they're certainly not getting lighter. Okay, so in the process of flight, you want to keep these qualities and not get too involved. Not hold on to the zone, which will basically lead you
Kong, yeah, with a I, a capital I at the end, at the bottom.
Sorry, with a gong. Yeah, sorry. But this is shui, and the whole thing is kong. Okay, so this is a point. Okay, so under the roof, this one isn't necessary, right?
Yeah, right.
Thank you. Under the roof, if you divide things, you take the ground from somewhere, you create a cave. This is what a point, an acupuncture point is. Okay, it's a technical term, but normally it would be used as a cave. Putting the gong underneath it makes it empty. So you all heard empty. I know you heard empty. Like in Buddhism. Okay, so this is where you're going to have problems because I'm not coming from a Taoist medicine perspective. So you want to be able to have this quality of letting go and lightness so that you can understand. So you can come to a place where you're empty, not empty that there is nothing, but empty so you see that what is mine isn't mine to begin with, and you can let go, so you can release, so that you can have this quality of lightness. So that's often called, I'm not sure if there's another one. Ju, to reside.
Zu.
Zu.
There's one at the bottom. Yeah, in the middle.
to not reside. So, for me, okay, because I'm not a Taoist and the medicine is Taoist, the medicine is not Buddhist, that's what we're trying to do. This expression you find in the Dharma Sutra a lot. Okay, do not reside in any concepts. And this come you see in the Heart Sutra, you see everywhere in Buddhist scriptures. You know, this is what you're aiming at ultimately. Okay, whether the patient can go there or not, I don't know. Okay, so just sort of like sort of a general sort of view of like what am I doing? You know, beyond use this point for this point. From now on, that's all we're going to talk about.
The upper character on the right, what does it mean? Calm?
Calm is the whole thing. Yan, aspa, calm. Okay, this thing here, take this thing out. This is shunyata, emptiness. Okay, the top part of it, just this thing, is shui, is a cave, is the thing that we use for the word point. So, I mean, I'm sure nobody said, oh, we're using acupuncture points for people to realize their emptiness. Ideally, that would be a very nice, extra bonus. Most people, you're treating them for pain, or some problem. I have to be empty everything. Yeah. Okay. Yes, you can say that because this. Because to be empty meaning to be off. That guy constantly. So let's get back to real life here. Basically, I palpate abdomen. I look at the medical history, I correlate the two, and then I'm making some sort of so-called diagnosis. And it's very much a so-called diagnosis. I'm not committed to any diagnosis. I don't care. You know, it can change every 3 minutes. Okay? Now, if you are, we all went to school and did the TCM stuff, and we've been told probably time and time again, don't change your diagnosis too often, because you need to let the herbs do the work. I mean, because if you keep changing, then how do you expect anything to work? I'm exactly the opposite. It didn't work, screw it, move on. Okay? So, I palpate the abdomen, I look at the medical history, and I'm looking at the main complaint, and I'm looking for something in the past that might explain why is it that this person still has the problem. Okay? So, if someone, they fell and they come to you with hip problems, they usually don't come the next week, right? I mean, that does happen, but most people come 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, 7 years down the road, okay? And they've done whatever they've done, sometimes a lot, sometimes nothing, and I still have this hip pain. And you have to go, how come you still have hip pain? Okay? So you can treat just hip pain, and that's fine. I don't know if that works for you, that's fine. What I do is, yes, I will have an idea about what I want to do for hips, but I also want to look at why is this person holding on? Most people, they fall, if they're 80, maybe they fall and, okay, it's a done deal. But most people, they fall, the hip hurts for 2 weeks and it's gone. So something in this person is holding them back, and that's what I'm looking for in the medical history. So looking at medical history is the most important thing for me. Okay, because it will give me a clue. Now, medical history includes mother, father, grandparents, those 6 people. Okay? So that will give me a clue of what is it that's locking the person and not making them available to what's currently happening. Okay? Then I'm looking at the abdomen. Now, I press. Kiiko says a knuckle in. I can't say if it's exactly a knuckle or not, but I press a fair amount. It's not light. It's not like this. It's you're actually pressing, and I move with my body into the person. Okay, but I'm not using my fingers. Okay, anywhere where they say uncomfortable, pain, whatever. I mean, people say different things. You know, so you can't say, first of all, I'm in New England, not many people say pain in New England. It's just not, no, you know, it's a character of northern New England. They can fix their own roof, even if it leaks, they can still fix it themselves. And they don't feel pain, it's just their nature. So, it may be discomfort. Usually what I do is I give them a place where clearly I can feel there's nothing there. You know, and then I want to see what, you know, what is, compare it to nothing, compare it to just feeling my fingers. So then we have different places the abdomen that reflect different areas in the abdomen. Okay. Then there is also the neck, the throat to the neck, and we do a lot of fire points. Okay. So those are the things that I tend to do the back after I've done the front. Traditionally, that was mostly how Kiiko did it. Now she seems to do other things. I will check the back if I have to. There are people who don't respond and nothing shows in the abdomen, so I have to look at the back, but usually because I treat both sides, I check the abdomen, I don't bother turning them over until until they're going to turn over. But you can if you want to. So you gather information to see what's happening in the body. And then you're deciding, so now you have your medical history, you know what's showing in the body, and you're trying to correlate them and explain what does these areas that you find pressure pain in, what do they mean? Okay, and how do they correlate to the history? And now you're reaching some sort of diagnosis. And then you're choosing points, and you're pressing on those points and seeing if the abdomen releases, if those reflexes release. And if they do, does the symptom release? The symptom may be organic, so the symptom may be, say, you know, menstrual issues. Okay, they're not going to come with shoulder pain. It's going to show in the abdomen. You know, might show stomach 28, which is ovary reflex, or kidney 13, which is uterus reflex. Or they may come for shoulder pain, in which case what you're doing in the abdomen has nothing to do with the shoulder, it has to do with who is this person. When I clear that person, there's a chance, a fairly good chance, the shoulder will clear. If not, that's still okay. I'll treat just the shoulder, but I'll still treat the person, because if I don't treat the person, the shoulder pain can come back. How often have you treated somebody and they say, oh, my shoulder is great, fabulous, you're wonderful, and they call you the next day and they hate you because the pain came back. Okay? And it's kind of disappointing to go to someone and have relief and then for it to come back. And if it comes back X percentage, it's one thing, but if it comes back fully, it's very annoying because you feel like, you know, the person swindled you or something, you know, so it just doesn't feel good. So one way, so if you just treat the shoulder, chances are, in my experience, the pain comes back. Okay, now that experience is quite old because I don't do that very often anymore. In fact, I don't do it at all. I always treat the person, even if it doesn't appear to affect the shoulder, it's not a waste of time for me. I do that, it takes me 3, 4, 5 minutes, then I move on to the shoulder. Okay, and treat the shoulder. The shoulder didn't get better, okay, but the abdomen is better, wonderful, okay, bonus, no big deal. Yeah, because if I don't treat the person, you don't know what's catching that symptom. You know, it could be that they have a thyroid condition, it could be that the mother has heart disease, it could be whatever, you know, liver issues, you know, we just don't know. Better to treat that first. Then if you need to treat the symptom. But don't treat the symptom first. That's one of the biggest mistakes. The other big mistake that beginners tend to do in this style is they find something in the abdomen and they try and treat it. Doesn't work. It will work, but it's useless. Okay? Look at the whole abdomen and arrive at a picture that you believe makes sense to you. And so say you think, okay, this person, the deepest thing, the first injury, whatever, adrenal. Treat adrenal, try and treat adrenal first. So press kidney 6 and see if abdomen is changing. Okay, kidney 6 didn't do it, maybe it's kidney 7 or 9 or whatever. Whatever experimentation you need to do with adrenals. Kill off the adrenal idea. If adrenal fixes lots of things, it's primary. If adrenal only fixes below kidney 16, we'll go through the protocols in a second. Okay, it was worth doing, but you know, it's like it's not a big deal because you've still got 5 things left in the abdomen. It hasn't affected it yet. Okay, so you're looking for the thing that's going to affect the abdomen the most. Okay, that's very important. So what happens is a lot of people, they went to say, I don't want, I think David Euler does a very good systematic presentation, as I understand. I haven't been to his classes, so it's not fair. I want to be really clear. I don't want to say good, bad, or anyone. But what I've observed is that people have gone to David's class and other people's classes who teach systematic, Kiiko Matsumoto, and what they do is, we all start with oketsu. Oketsu, liver 4, lung 5. And what people do is I'll talk about that in a second also. They go and they do oketsu, and then they have the rest of the abdomen to take care of. You need to find out what is this person. The whole point of this style is to find out what's going on with this whole person. Don't treat this, don't treat this, don't treat this. Treat the person. Which means that you may think that oketsu is very important or adrenal is very important, but the person is going to prove you wrong. And if they do, you just go, okay, it wasn't adrenal. Maybe I'll do adrenal at the end. It might be that you need to do something else in order for adrenal to kick in. Okay? So you always have to, you find out what's the first thing that needs to happen here, if you can. It's an idea. These are ideas, they're not the reality. Treat the primary thing that you think and then move on. What I'm saying is that when I give you guidelines with the most important thing is likely to be the first injury that the person sustained. Like, okay, I had my thyroid cut off, or I had my, Crohn's disease or something. Or it may have been an inherited. Inherited comes before their first injury. Okay, if the parents have it, so you'll see a lot of people that come, diabetic parents, I treat them as if they have diabetes even though they never heard of it. Doesn't affect them at all. I will still treat spleen 3 adrenal immune point on them because, or if it works. But that's one of the things I will think about because that predates any injury they have. They don't have to say I'm diabetic, they don't have to say age 10 is my first problem, I was diagnosed diabetic. No, they were never diagnosed as diabetic, but I still consider that to be the first injury, the first possible weakness. Then I'm willing to prove myself wrong. It's totally okay if that's not the case. No big deal. Okay? So you're always moving around, continuously thinking. So when Susan said, you have to be willing to, I didn't use that expression, think on your feet sort of thing. You have to be willing to churn around. Both turning and churning, and keep trying different things, and keep trying them, and trying them, and trying them. That's what you're doing in this stuff. Yeah.
So if you have a patient who comes in with another complaint besides diabetes or whatever, and you know they have a family history, and their reflex points are different from what adrenal and spleen 3 treat, do you treat immune spleen 3
I will
and
try
then do you
it.
recheck?
Yes.
And if it doesn't help?
I don't treat. First of all, I don't. Okay.
You
So I press spleen 3 and see if that helps some of the reflexes. I'll press OD. I'll do something to prove me. Listen, I have an idea. Diabetes could be very important for this person. Fine. I tried. Didn't work. I don't put needles in unless I know it's working. Didn't change anything. Hey, lucky you. You didn't get the diabetes gene. It's like, what can I say? But I try it because I think that came before the other problem that they had. Does that make sense? Now, there's also certain problems that are going to be overwhelming on the person. There's a certain prioritization that happens. So I would say that anything that involves adrenal is going to take priority, generally speaking, because, as you know, kidney is the deepest organ. Somebody has autonomic nervous system disorder, which will often show in in blood pressure weirdness. People come and you ask them what's the blood pressure, and they say fine. They won't give you numbers. That's very typical. So you want the numbers. I don't have a blood pressure cuff. I don't know how to take blood pressure. I can't do it, and I don't trust the electronic things. Okay, so they have to tell you, me at least, they have to tell me. If you're comfortable, that's okay, you can take that. The blood pressure. Blood pressure that is, for example, 120 over 60. That is not good blood pressure. I'm sorry. Sounds fine. Systolic is totally okay. Diastolic, I'll make 65. Okay, diastolic is so-called normal, maybe slightly low, big deal. But the difference in numbers, let me make this 125 over 65. We've got a difference of 60. Not good. You've got another blood pressure, 105 over 80. They sound fine. Neither number looks bad. Diastolic of 80 is fine. There's nothing wrong with diastolic of 80. There's nothing wrong with systolic of 105. You could say leaning towards low, but no big deal. But the difference isn't right. So what you're seeing, if you can say that the diastolic has some correspondence to the parasympathetic nervous system, and that the systolic has some correspondence, they don't exactly correspond, with the sympathetic nervous system. Okay? It's a contraction versus dilation. If the body can't maintain an acceptable gap, not too big, not too small, it means the nervous system probably doesn't adjust. And as you know, parasympathetic and sympathetic have to be in balance. You're usually in one mode or another, with one exception, orgasm. Okay? Otherwise the body separates the two systems, which means they always have to watch, they have to coordinate with each other. You can't have them both running at the same time, sort of thing. Okay? So that's by the way, it's a very common finding people have. There's no reflex for it in the body. Okay, so that's something, there is a reflex, not a conceivably reflex for it in the pulse. Okay, it's a pulse that's usually, it's thin, I'm not going to call it a tight pulse. The problem is different people call different things differently. So his definition of tight is what you would probably call thin, wiry, but remember wiry is an excess pulse, so you can't take that definition of wiry. So take the wiry as in that stringiness, and when you press on it, it either disappears or it changes quality. It suddenly becomes sort of like wider or empty or something. It's the change of quality. Nagano said disappear. I understand Nagano said disappear. I'm saying that it changes quality or is good enough for me. Okay? So that's the only place that you can say shows autonomic nervous system for sure, for the point that we use under the third toe, which is our blood pressure point. Otherwise, it doesn't show in the body. Now, there are other places where the nervous system will show, specifically on the SCM, because it's the vagus nerve, it's a parasympathetic nerve. Okay, so there are other places you can see. You can see, for example, T5 and above, you can see, but I would say they're 100% pathognomonic. Okay, you can't guarantee if you have that must be. But the pulse, if the pulse is thin, so-called wiry, disappears in pressure or changes in pressure, that's under the third toe indication. Okay, I'm not sure how we got it. Oh, so that's one of those things that if you have one of those, you need to treat it first. Chances are you'll try lots of other points, and until you treat under the third toe, nothing's going to move for you. Okay? Why? Because things are not moving. The nervous system's not adjusting, the person can't say anything. You've got to calm the nervous system first. SCM tightness is very important to solve, in my opinion, because if the SCM is tight, okay, the whole abdomen is revved up, sort of thing. It's not, you've got to release this to release the abdomen first, then the abdomen will start to respond. Sometimes you find stomach chi. I'm sorry for those who've never heard these terms. I'll go through all of this in a second. Stomach chi could be a big priority because if there's no stomach chi, you can determine this again in a pulse if you want. It's a pulse that just goes tick, 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 tick. It doesn't go whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, this is my thumb over there, hitchhiking over there. Okay, so the pulse isn't going this way. It's going boom, boom. It just hits your fingers. It has no, you can say it has no slipperiness to it. Okay, there's no rolling, but there's no direction. It's not moving towards the thumb. Okay, you just go, okay. That pulse is considered to not have stomach chi. Okay, classically, no one knows what that phrase, stomach chi, means. Okay, there's no explanation for it. I mean, the pulse is supposed to have strength, shen, and stomach chi. Okay? I think we all know what strength means. Shen, there's different people who will sort of say what that means to them. But stomach chi, no one can say, that's the definition. Wang Shu He, whatever it is, said, that's stomach chi. No one knows. No one understands that. Okay, so Nagano, that's Nagano's understanding. Stomach chi means that there needs to be some movement in there. Okay, adrenal, stomach chi, and autonomic nervous system, which will include the release of, these will be some of your primary things you really need to address first. Even autoimmune disorders, don't have to treat them. That doesn't not have to be the first thing you want to treat. In fact, it's often the last thing I would treat, even though it overtakes everything. When I say last thing I treat, meaning in the same treatment, by the way. It's not like I say, by the way, 5 treatments before we get into it. It's all in the same treatment. It's prioritizing. I'm just prioritizing. What do I want to do? The reason why autoimmune disorder is not is not the first thing I would go for, because it involves REN4. Once I meet a REN4, it's a little hard to check the abdomen. Okay? So one of the things I do is instead I go all the way to the side and treat below gallbladder 26 level with REN4, and then the abdomen is still free for me to check. Okay? So the point is, don't treat the one finding. Treat all the findings. Don't treat oketsu, left liver 4, lung 5. That is a mistake in my opinion. And I see lots of people, they know lots of protocols. I can tell. They really know the stuff. The problem is they don't know how to prioritize. That's a place where you can get stuck. So just know, because lots of other people have gotten stuck in that place. And once you get stuck in that place, you really are stuck, because nothing is worse than too much knowledge. Because it's hard to get out of. Okay? So you get people, they know all these protocols. I can use this and this, but the patient's not getting better. Okay? It doesn't matter how much stuff we have in it. What matters is the patient's getting better. So one of the stumbling blocks that I see is that people are trying to follow protocols instead of thinking and prioritizing. Okay, so that's extremely important. Let's go through the abdomen. So like everybody else, I'm going to teach you oketsu first. Why? Because it's easy, not because it's important. No, I'm serious. In the 90s, around 95, 96, Kiiko came and started talking about oketsu. So, we all went, oketsu crazy, and she came back and said, 80% of all patients have oketsu. And I would say that probably at that time it was kind of true, By the year 2001, that was so not true. Okay, no, and there's reasons for it. Partially because if you think 96, think of the era. Okay, everything's fine, .com is moving great, everybody's having lots of wine, lots of cheese, so, they have a little bit of, what you might call stagnant blood. Things are just, stagnant. By 2001, you have the economy collapsed, you have an election that was not respected, whatever you call it, but, 3 concepts for Americans, and there was 9/11. Okay, so the whole, the underground of the holding ground of American mentality. I work in America, I can't tell about elsewhere in the world, disappeared. We're no longer the same people that we thought we were in the 90s. So suddenly you're seeing a lot more adrenals, you're seeing a lot more autonomic nervous system, because people don't have the ground to step on. Okay? And as you all know, those of you who've been in practice for a long time, autoimmune disorders is probably the big, all you have to do is watch something like House. It's like every time they don't know what the patient has, autoimmune disorder. It's a catchword for everything. Okay, I'm willing to guarantee that if you check the blood of enough people, you will find Rh factor or some weird factors. It's just that we have too much information. Okay, but the diseases change over time, and we happen to be at a time when this, I believe that diseases have changed just because the culture has changed. So, oketsu shows left stomach 26, 27, possibly kidney 16 also. And what this means, the liver is here. The portal vein goes from the left side over to the liver. It's a congestion of the portal vein, which means you can associate it with the liver, that's okay. But I wouldn't call it a liver sign necessarily. Okay? even though, by Nanjing, this side should reflect the liver. Okay? So the way to resolve this, and that's the danger here, we resolve it with left liver 4 and left lung 5. Our liver 4 is not here, it's one thumb below. Okay, it's on this side, it's on the kidney 6 side of the tendon. And we needle up superficially. Okay? And lung 5, we take slightly more to the side than maybe TCM. I think TCM says exactly by the tendon, we take it away from the tendon. And again, downwards, sort of superficial. Liver 4, lung 5 is the combination for Ketsu. Now, this is where the problem is. People hear that and they go, cool, I've got something to latch onto. Oketsu, liver 4, lung 5, and then they get disappointed, but it doesn't do as much as I would like it to. Why? Because you didn't check that it really is primary for this person and really clears more in the abdomen. Okay, so just be aware, it's a fabulous place to start, it's wonderful, and everybody, yes, I go Oketsu and move on. Okay, next finding. Below kidney 16, just a teeny bit below. Now, please understand that every other point besides this one that I'm talking about now, which we call 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock, can move. This does not move. So when I say stomach 26, 27, slightly outside stomach channel, slightly inside stomach channel, no big deal. This is not like NCCA exam, point location exam. No, I don't care. 2 tsun out, 3 tsun out, 20 tsun out, whatever you want to call it. You call it stomach, whatever you think. It's good enough. Wherever your spleen is, bring it into the stomach. So, this is very precise. Okay, number one, because the kidney has to be very close to the center. Okay, and also, okay, so those of you, I'm sorry for those of you who've gone through this before, what's so interesting about this, and why does it have to be below kidney 16? Okay, so the name of kidney 16 is Huang Shu. Okay, Huang meaning, Huang is the dead or the missing organ, something in the body that's missing. I probably shouldn't do it, is that correct? Probably not.
I brought the book. I brought the book of Chinese
it's
names
Wang.
if you want. Yeah.
The character underneath is Wang.
That.
So it's something in the body. Wang means dead, right? Okay.
Wang.
Wang.
Yeah.
And Huang is something in the body that's dead. Okay, so it's missing. Somebody's dead, they're missing. It's a missing organ, basically. We don't know what it is. I mean, people speculate. They say, yeah, she's laughing at me. I know, there's all sorts of theory. They say this weird space in the blah, blah, but we don't know. Really, I mean, no one can, by the character, we can't say. The word doesn't clearly specify what it means. Now, very interesting, you have a shu here, and you have a shu here, shu fu. Okay, supposedly the shu of the 4 organs, kidney 27. Okay, all the other shoes are on the back, or in the bladder. I believe there's one more shoe, now shu maybe, on gallbladder. It's either now shu or now men, I don't know. I'm not sure. But most of the shoes, here something?
Yeah.
The brain shoe, you don't remember either.
There is a name.
Isn't that 17?
No. It's gallbladder.
It's one of those. Yeah.
Small intestine.
Oh no! She's talking about shoulder shoe or something.
Now shoe is here.
Now shoe, small intestine. Okay, is that the same shoe as shoe point? No, but that'll be on the body channel. That's different. No. I think I know what she means. There is. I don't know if it's the same. I don't know.
It's a different shoe.
Yeah. That's what I thought. The same shoe. No, but brain isn't brain now.
No. Yeah.
No. It's different now. Different now.
I can't say no. Take that out of the tape. Sorry, yes, it's confusing for you guys. There's a gallbladder, I believe, that might have. Oh no, sorry, it's now calm. Never mind. So it just, yeah. So shoes, I was correct. Shoe only, that kind of shoe only exist on the bladder, the shu points, and you have two on the kidney. Huang shu and shu fu. Okay? So, now, those of you who've gone through this before, don't lose it. You've all learned the kidney starts at the little toe, it comes through, by the way, Kiiko loves this. It starts at the little toe, the medial side of the little toe. It goes through what they call the heart of soul, comes through kidney 2, is the other point I mentioned, circles around the ankle bone, comes up the inside of the thigh, goes into the perineum. Okay, we're going to do perineal exercises later. Comes up the front of the spine. Now, what's going on? Those of you who've taken the exam recently, because I know this is something that every student has had a problem with. Everyone's noticed this. Sorry? Something to do with the kidneys, yeah. Okay. So I'll tell you what the book says. Okay? The book says it goes up the front of the spine, goes into the kidneys and penetrates the lungs, and goes up into the chest and circles the throat. Perfect. Now, let's consolidate that with everything was fine up until you got to the perineum. It goes up the front of the spine, and you're going, okay, kidney 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Something's weird. Something doesn't work. The channel doesn't go all the way the point goes. Okay, how come you have 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, but the channel goes from here, goes down? Doesn't match. They never talk about this path. So my own contention, now you can say, okay, that's internal path, but they don't describe an external path that goes from the hengu, from the pubic bone, upwards. There is no such description. Okay? So what I'm saying is that the kidney comes into Mingmen, goes into the kidney and down to the bladder, and that goes through Wang Shu and goes downwards. So when they number the points, they're numbering them wrong. It should be 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Hengu should be 16. Then there's another branch at kidney 16 that goes up. So 16, just like stomach 5 is a place where the channel branches. Okay? That's a place where the channel branches. When do you have a shock? The kidney is susceptible to fear. When you have a shock, when you've exhausted your adrenals slowly, shock is a fast way to empty the battery, right? The split is going to happen at kidney 16. It's going to show that. That's why below kidney 16. If that explanation doesn't match for you, that's fine. Just think of this one may not show to be very well. When you have a dream and you have a lot, a nightmare, and you're in terror, like the big monsters coming to get you at Halloween or something, and you've got what will happen in your body? You'll go into kidney 16. Okay, so in fear, there is a split of the kidney channel, and it's going to show here. Okay, so we call this adrenal. It doesn't have to be fear. It doesn't have to be shock. It can also be slowly exhausting your adrenals. Okay? The treatment for that originally is kidney 6 plus 27. Okay? Why kidney 6? And kidney 6 we needle towards the heel. This way. Okay? Not inwards. My own understanding, I don't know, nobody asked, maybe people did ask Nagano, nobody says why Nagano said kidney 6 originally. My own interpretation is two things. Number one, okay, so it's Yin Chao, but also the character Zhao Hai, okay? Zhao is to reflect. It's the ability, and Hai means ocean, okay? It's the ability to reflect on one's life. Also, I'll show you in a little bit how important the activation of kidney 6 is to create the central channel. We don't have a central channel in Chinese, but to create that sense of the body. Okay? So you have adrenal, So you have a cancer liver for lung 5, you have adrenal, kidney 6 plus 27. Kidney 6 may not be the best point. Sometimes, so what you want to do is check kidney 2. Kidney 2 is not exactly under the navicular for us, it goes a little bit more towards spleen 4. And you'll notice, oh, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. And rather than go like this and check, fire points we say 3 kilogram pressure. We actually move the finger over the point. There is something interesting when you do that, it's different. It's a little bit like the immune point. It doesn't have quite the same texture, but there's a texture of almost like a puffiness over kidney 2. Okay, like a little balloon there. And that you want to go over it. Okay, and if there's pain there, that's considered the kidney channel. The fire point is active, so we use metal, kidney 7, and kidney 10. Then you can add kidney 27 also. So rather than do kidney 6, use kidney 7 and 10. Sometimes kidney 9 is a better point. Sometimes, very rarely, but kidney 3 may be a better point for thyroid issues. Okay. Kidney 9 has a good chance of working for a number of reasons. One of them is some thyroid, especially enlargements of the thyroid. It's also good for, what Kiiko calls sphenoid shift or pelvic shift. A lot of neck problems, kidney 9 does a much better job than the other kidney points, so you've got a number of options there. Another option is on top, not instead, on top of those. Sometimes people will say, okay, that was 50% better. And you go, but they're huge. The kind of person that's like really big. You may want to add inner yin, which is like take liver 9 and go to the kidney channel. I think the Chinese call it yin shin men, new shin men, yin men. Shin yin men is what they call it. Don't worry, but it's 5 fingers, liver 9, and go to the kidney channel. Why? Because when a person's very big and you do points below the knee, there's just so much there. You've got to shovel it up. You just got to move it, so it's a shovel extra point to like move it up. Okay. Next. So that was adrenal. Okay, I just want. Then you have right side stomach 27. We call this area, this could be cecum, this could be appendix issues, this could be immune, it could be, officially it should be lungs. According to the Nanjing, liver is this side, lung is this side. This, depending on what you believe it is, you're going to have to figure out, how to resolve it. So it could be immune points may do a great job. It could be if they had an appendix operation, spleen 9 on the right side, spleen 9, we needle up. Now I have this thing where I call, are they a chubby spleen 9 type? Doesn't mean they're chubby. But is there space in spleen 9? Because remember, I'm needling up, I'm not needling towards yang and chong, I'm not needling towards gallbladder 34. So since I'm needling it up, I need some space between the skin and the bone. It's very uncomfortable for a skinny person that doesn't have anything there to needle at point that way, okay? And I'm getting a fair amount of the needle in, okay? It's not 2 millimeters in. It's like up to, half to easily. So I need some space there. So somebody who's not a spleen 9 type, meaning they're not chubby there, I may opt not to use it. But officially that's the point. And then you have a whole bunch of other options, like that if it's lung, possibly you can do it from left lung 8, might resolve it. And then you have a whole bunch of other options, digestive issues that we'll try and get into later. So I just want to give you a map in general. Then you have REM 15. REM 15 we have REM 17, 15, and 9. Okay, which we consider to be emotional reflex. Anxiety, we just give them names, it doesn't mean that's what they are. Anxiety, worry, and sadness. Okay. If you have REM 15, supposedly consider spleen 3 plus pericardium. Now, every time I tell you pericardium, you're going to want to do this. Check pericardium 8, right in the middle. Don't go to the World Health Organization or the TCM description of, between these. It's right in the center. Press, if there's pain, you want to do pericardium 3, which we take right in the middle, plus 5, metal water for fire. So that's one of the biggest things that you can do. Whether you know this style, you don't know this style, all you have to do, check fire point, needle, metal water. Okay, that's like one of the basic things. You don't have to palpate abdomen, you don't have to know anything. This is like, you can say Kiiko style, metal water Kiiko style. Okay, it's something to add to your repertoire. Why not? So, pericardium 3 and 5. If pericardium 8 is not painful, and they actually like it, the pressure, we used to needle pericardium 8, but nobody likes that, so we do either 6 or 4. And our pericardium 4 is 3 fingers below 3. And you can see on me, there's a little dent here. Okay, you won't see it on most people, so you just very likely you'll feel the dent. And that's our pericardium 4. Okay, they're all needled downwards with the flow of the chamber. Sorry?
P4 and P6?
No, either one. So check which one does a better job. Now I'll give you a trick to find out which one. If the symptom responds the same to both, or the abdomen, one of the things that the pericardium points to a good job on is neck. Okay. So you may have a whole bunch of stuff in the neck that which pericardium, I could do 6, I could do 4, I'm not sure, blah, blah, blah. Check them against the neck. If Bren 17 responds the same way, or Bren 15 responds the same way to pericardium, you have another extra check for pericardium. That's not a Kiikoism, that's an Aviism. Okay, just let you know. No, it's good to know what comes from what, so you can decide what sources you really trust. If Bren 17, again, can come from a number of different options, unfortunately. So, but yeah, it's the moot point of the pericardium, but you also have a pattern, for example, of people where UB2 will do a really good job for both 17 and 15. These are people who there's a sympathetic dominance. They're straining their eyes all the time. So they get a diaphragmatic constriction. Now that's a very common type, just so that you know. You've got lots of, UB2 is we use it a lot. UB1 is also called one of them, it's called in the Ling Shu Ming Men. Okay, same thing as before. So clearly UB1 is a very important point, but as you can imagine, not everybody likes to have a needle in UB1. So now that we use this UB2 and UB together kind of instead. It's a great hormonal point often. It's great for pain in the neck. It's great for eyes, and you see that's the other thing, is in today's world we're seeing a lot more eye problems because, as you can see, everybody, is yours a Mac? No, Yes?
Yes.
Okay, you're using Macs, it's probably safe. But if you're using non-Macs, it may not be safe. And you get, you're staring at the screen the whole day at very close sight. Relatively. You're not looking out, I'm looking out at the water. That's the reason I put the board here. I didn't ask. It's how it is. But it's like in nature, in a more natural environment where we have space. There's no space in the computer. You're all the time congested by it. So that creates a whole strain on the eyes. Plus, of course, it creates possible problems for the liver, which, by the way, this pattern of UB2 young may also show liver, which is the next pattern we're going to talk about. Red 9, originally we said sadness reflex, and the point to solve it is right side, stomach 24. Now, you see a lot more Red 9, believe me, because I used to check all, in the 90s, and you see a lot more pulsings on Red 9 than you ever used to. Okay, again, because people don't have the same grounding, they don't feel as safe as they used to. You can give it many ideas, and Kiiko gives it many ideas at different times. You can say it's a reflection of weak dantian. You can say that the dantian is supposed to be the lower dantian, REM 4 area. is supposed to be the guard of the heart. You know, this is the small fire or the small heart watching over the big heart. Okay? And you can also say that it's emotions that cannot be contained in the heart. You can actually say it's a spleen issue. An emotion that's not able to be contained inside the heart and gets spilled over. Because the blood contains the emotions, right? So you're feeling the aorta. You should not feel the aorta. And you can also say that it's the integrity of the mesentery tissue. So in other words, it's a small intestine issue. So you can explain this pulsation, that when you're feeling the pulse in red 9 or left of red 9, so you might feel it left kidney 16. You might feel it all the way up. If you do, it's a big problem. But you will, it doesn't have to be just red 9, it can be red 10, 11, 12, etc. The higher it goes, the worse it is. You know, you definitely don't want to deal with, you know, if someone's really feeling rock and you should send them for a cardiac check. Okay? But if it's just red 9, that's totally normal. Okay? Lots of people have it. Okay? It's very, very common. So again, the official treatment point is right side stomach 24, and that often comes with left spleen 20 area. Okay? And you do left side GB26. That's the official protocol. But trust me, that's often not quite it. You need to do other things first before that will work. And the next one I want to give you is liver. It can be liver, yeah.
Can I just ask, you know how Kiiko said the show is used, she says the pericardium treatment for last? It's like often in seminars.
That's not true. I don't know where you heard that. I'm sorry.
I've written it several times.
No. It may well be true. I just don't know. Do you recall? The reason why I would say I'm actually quite sure that's even not true is because she often treats this way first and then takes the needles out and flips them over. You can't possibly be doing immune or something and then flip the arm over. With
I feel like in her seminar she said that she tries to treat emotional stuff like REN 17 or REN 14, 15 with something other than
Yes, okay, yeah. The reason, okay, yeah, that's different. Okay. Because you said pericardium in general, you know, yes. The problem is okay, so this is another thing. Don't take your strongest point and apply it and kill off the abdomen. Okay, because now you've got nothing to compare anything with. Okay, if I know, wow, this point clears the whole abdomen, and I go, you know, this is what she did in San Diego, you know, it's like, do 16 cures everything. Okay, fine, I believe you, it's true, you showed, you know, but then you have no insurance for anything else, because you can't check anything else anymore. So great, it works great, I do it at the end. So if you use emotional stuff in pericardium, and you know, it's going to clear, you don't know what, especially if there's not a lot of other findings, you don't have a lot of maneuver room to do other things. And I want to tell you, Kiiko is not a minimalist needle. Okay, I mean, when, you know, in her clinic, I mean, you know, she may go through phases where she shows for class, she just wants to show small intestine 11 and you won't get anything else to do 16 or 15 or whatever. But generally, she does tons, and she does, you know, she'll do one side, the back, she may turn you over again. She is not a small number of needles person. Okay, so in order to do that, you need to kind of like, if you use the big trump card up front, it's like, what do you do now? You've got nothing to compare it with. Okay, so I would say that yes, you want to do everything else first before you use pericardium if REN 17 is the biggest deal. Does that make sense? The other thing is REN 17 really might be Sanjiao 16 solves this also.
Well, I just was curious if you can discern, in the beginning you were saying that you wanted to find kind of the central problem that clears.
It doesn't mean, but I want to find the central thing that clears, and if it clears everything, doesn't mean there aren't other things, and then I decide whether I'll use it. It doesn't mean I needle it right there and then. So what I'm saying, don't needle anything until you've checked as much as you possibly can. Now, there's a limit to everyone's patience, and in my case, that limit is very low. Okay? So, no, because it also depends on the person, because some people, I didn't needle maybe try again. So some people, you are able to check everything and check a number of points, and you can say, okay, this is my priority, and this is really worth doing, and then this is really insurance. And some people, I don't have strength to figure this out, and you just do what you can. Okay? But even if I found my central, the thing that clears everything, I want to know for myself, but it doesn't mean I won't use more.
Okay.
It's always better to, in my opinion, use more up to a certain number. Okay? I'm not the kind of person who does it from the pulse, and I can say at some point the pulse turns. Some people use the pulse and they say, you know, you put a certain amount of needles and at some point the pulse is getting better, and you put one more needle and it all collapses. This generally doesn't happen in the system. But yes, there's a certain point, I also want to be clear. I'm trying to use 2 to 3 ideas. That's not 2 to 3 needles. That's 2 to 3 ideas on a person, not more. If I'm going beyond 3 ideas, like there are adrenal, there are autonomic nervous system immune, that's acceptable. Then I'm going, physioptosis, blah, 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 blah. Wow, what's going on? I mean, you know, I know that I lost the case. The person may get better, but I don't have clarity about what I'm doing. Okay, so if I want clarity, I want to have a minimal number of ideas. Okay? Liver, you can show on liver 14, or you can show under the ribs. And you're pressing under the ribs, because if the liver is, you know, the liver will press on the diaphragm. If you're pressing on the diaphragm, it's going to be uncomfortable. Compare left side and right side. Okay? The treatment for liver is all depending. If they say sharp, like they say ouch, okay, we will call this liver excess. And if they actually have a physical liver problem, like they say, by the way, yes, I have hepatitis or something, or I had it or something. The treatment for this is right side, kidney 7, spleen 7, heart 3, pericardium 4. Okay, there's no other pericardium for this. This is pericardium 4 for sure. Okay, or supposedly. Spleens, right side, spleen 7, it's all in the notes. Right side, spleen 7, kidney 7, heart 3, and pericardium 4. Oh, they're on my website, I'm sorry. So, did you get the confirmation letter?
I did not.
Oh, okay, sorry. So, that's liver excess treatment. Then you have liver deficiency treatment that could be liver 1. By the way, liver often comes with right side neck problems, especially C3. Very typical for liver is to show neck. So you can also check against the neck. So if they say, not pleasant or something, you can also pinch. And if you're pinching and it's thicker in your hands, and they'll feel different. They can't say thicker. Okay, but you're feeling when I'm pinching here, I'm grabbing a lot. When I'm pinching here, I'm grabbing a little bit on the left side. You'll get to understand what that means. So when you're pinching and they say different on the right and the left, usually liver 1 does a good job. You do have a bunch. I'm losing all these. You have a bunch of liver 1s. This is on the right side. Okay. You have 1, and this is the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4. Liver 1s. 4 options for liver 1. Kiiko nowadays says she prefers this one. Okay, this is the liver 1 that you see, and you'll read that it's moxa for. You do moxa on that liver 1 for inguinal stuff. Okay, that comes from Jitsu, I believe. Those 3 you just have to try. I personally find the official Jingwell to be the best. Me personally, like I said, Kiiko says the middle one. The official Jingwell point I don't find to be as good, and neither this one. So usually it's either this one or this one. But you're going to find your own. You know, so just be aware that liver 1 moves.
Is
Yes.
the thickness, that thick quality related to deficiency? Because you started to say.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's deficiency. Then you have other liver types. For example, the endometriosis type is a liver 5 type. Certain itchiness can be both liver 1 or liver 5, depending. So what you want to do is, if you're on the liver channel, if you're in liver, and you're not in the liver axis treatment, check liver 5, which is the hole in the bone. It's literally called that. Okay, now, one big mistake that people make, they try and take the liver channel on the spleen channel because in TCM, for some reason, they move the stomach over. The stomach channel is supposed to be on the tibialis anterior, on the way it connects. Yes, there is another branch further out, but the points, except stomach 40, are supposed to be attached to the bone. And where you see it attached to the bone, you get bumps sometimes. Those are your stomach chi points. Those bumps, those are the ones that we talk about using for stomach chi. The liver channel, a lot of people take behind the bone. That to us is spleen channel. The liver channel, if you move this, you can see the liver channel, right? Yeah? Quite often. That's on the bone. Now, I really have a liver 5, and don't worry about the 5 zone. Okay, so it's about halfway from spleen type 9 to the ankle bone. We don't have a liver 6, by the way. I mean, I'm sure we have it in the bone, but we don't use. So you'll say, oh, it's like liver 6 or above or whatever. So we go about halfway and we stop where there's a hole. And somebody who has an active liver 5, when you go like this, it creates a dent. It's very clear. That's a moxie point. So, yeah. Great point for endometriosis for all sorts of inflammations in the lower jaw. It's that and spleen 5 are good together with moxa specifically. And when I say moxa, I mean direct moxa. I don't do stick moxa at all. I can't stand the smell. And also, it's not the same thing. So, they're anti-inflammatory points for the lower jaw, and they also they're good for the what's that kind of tissue called? That's not connective tissue.
Mucosal membrane.
Mucosal membrane tissue. Of the lower jaw. So, burning urination, all sorts of yeast infections or burning, in the vagina, stuff like that. That's all stuff that's liver 5 domain. And don't forget endometriosis. Okay. So that gives you a bit of a map. One more thing I want to go before we have someone coming in tonight. Always check the inguinal on everyone for a number of reasons. First of all, because of its pelvic imbalances, and since Kiiko is in level 216, then you need to check it. But the thing about it is if they have tightness in the inguinal, the blood supply to the organs, you're checking so-called the organs when you're checking the abdomen, reflexes of organs, right? Adrenal, liver, lung, blah, blah, blah. The blood supply goes first to the leg and then comes through the inner thigh into the abdomen. It comes into the small intestine, comes back to the liver. From the liver, it takes the food from the small intestine, detoxifies it in the liver, goes to the lungs to get oxygen, then comes back to the heart. Then from the heart, it goes down to the legs, back into the organs, to the liver, blah, blah, blah. And we're not talking about this blood supply right now. We're talking about the one below the heart. So that means that you have a major joint here that can stop the blood supply into the legs. It's especially important in gynecological complaints. So always check the inner thigh and the inguinal. Because unless you release those, you may not be able to release the rest of the abdomen because there's no blood supply. Okay? Things are not moving, they're stuck. Okay? So inner thigh, figure out if it's kidney, liver, or spleen. And you can you can try different points on them. Usually, if it's spleen 9 does a good job, liver 4 will do a pretty good job for liver, and kidney 7 is likely to do a good job for kidney. Okay? But you just know that you need to release. For if you have the inguinal, it depends on where it comes from. Okay, if the inguinal is tight, meaning it's not on the leg, it's on the body. Sometimes you can just do the other side of the inguinal. If, on the other hand, say it's a woman and it's either she has a very, very large breast, complains of back pain, for example, or a very large person, everything is, oh, by the way, I had my uterus removed and blah, blah, removed, whatever, blah, blah. There's not so many blah, blahs to be removed, thankfully. But, that's really, or I gave birth 7 children and 5 miscarriages, but, And by the way, my main complaint is, urination. I'm 75 years old and I'm wearing a diaper. Okay, it's not an uncommon complaint for people, women who, So they're going to show on the inguinal. Why? Because everything's dropped. The treatment for that is stomach 13. Okay? So that's where that can be a great point for if they come with back pain, for example. That type of person, because everything is falling into their inguinal. Okay? I can't show it because if I'm showing this, my inguinal, but if with them, they're not going like this. It's just sunk straight down into the last place. Okay? Some inguinals might be a mechanical thing that they have to do with L1. Okay, so you may need to needle L1. I mean, it's rare that you have to turn over first to do that, but it might be. And then there's this whole thing, because the inguinal and the higher bone reflect each other, you may be able to needle stomach 9 to release kidney 11, stomach 30 area. Okay? So that's something you may need to do before you do anything else. All right? So, yes?
I'm sorry, keep asking. You said for inguinal, you can also treat the opposite side?
Yes, take the opposite side, go to the highest part of the bone, go into the body and needle towards the leg. There's a good chance that it will release the inguinal. It's not as good for kidney 11, stomach 30, it's good more for the gallbladder area. Okay? Remind me of something else. Oh, immune point, by the way, that's another big point that we have. Are you okay? Go ahead, ask.
I want to get what you just got. And this is
A gold star.
Yeah.
She asked, okay, opposite ASIS. I go to the ASIS, that knobby thing, come into the body, because I'm on the bone, come into the body, needle it 45 degrees down and out. That has a good chance of releasing gallbladder 27, 28 on that side. By the way, this is it's 5 something and gallbladder 27, 28 names. Anyway, they have something to do with supporting, way to link. I might have to, there's 5 something and it's 27, I think is woo something, and 28 or the other way around is way something. So to link, they link the whole body. So that gives you, one more thing that I want to talk about is immune point, because we do use a lot. That often people will come, you say, okay, you had your, these are certain types that you want to look at. That type says, I always had colds as a child, sore throats as a child, I had my tonsils removed. Okay? That's an immune type usually. So the immune point is somewhere between large intestine 10 and 11, but more on the bone. It's where the bone and the muscle, there's adhesions there. And you needle it down towards the bone. And preferably at moxa, direct moxa. The reflex for it is triple warmer 16. Okay, behind the SCM. Now what's wonderful about immune point as a one for a beginner and a start, you can put your hand and you can press triple warmer 16. I'm pressing it upwards towards the nose. And then release the pressure. Find my immune point, somewhere between large intestine and triple warmer channels, between large intestine and left channel. And I can feel under my finger the quality above, it's now above my finger as it happens, change. Okay, I'm not pressing it. When I feel that change, I almost feel like there's an opening there. I press again on Sanjiao 16 and go, okay, how is that? They usually say better. That's one of the few places where you can check your treatment point against the reflex without pressing on the reflex. You can feel a change under your hand. In this case, it's above your hand. It's very rare that you can touch a treatment point and just touch the skin and tell, oh yes, there's a difference. That's not the norm. Okay? Usually what you do is you press on the reflex, release the hand, keep the hand there on the skin, press the treatment point and press the reflex again. Is it better? Now you may be able to feel that it's better. also. That's okay also. But this is the only place that I can tell you has a consistency of, you can just keep your hand touching and you can tell that it's changed. Then you can press and they'll say, yes, it's better. Don't be fooled by patients telling you, that's the point. No, the immune point, they don't know which is the point. They just know which one hurts. This is not Asha acupuncture. Okay? This is which one makes the change. And again, if you chose immune point, it changed Sanjiao 16. What else did it change in the abdomen? Chase more than just one symptom, one reflex. Okay? So, is everyone sort of with me up to now? Let's do a little exercise. You can take your shoes off and stand up.